Do you think that that process, having so many cooks in the kitchen, turns out a product that's lesser than something that would have been better had it been kind of spearheaded by one creative vision?
I think so. And that's kind of this weird double-edged sword when it comes to content creation in that world, is that if you have a lot of money, you're going to have less freedom. If you have less money, you're going to have more freedom. And you kind of have to decide what you want. Like, you need to exist, you need to live. So sometimes you do things that are more money, but your soul gets sucked out of your body. And then you do things that don't make as much money, but they're creative, and you can use that. Maybe like if something really, really hits well, then you can use that as your calling card. And that was always kind of my interpretation of how to operate.
So there's this pattern that kind of emerges from your path through all of this and where you're at now too. You know, you've talked in your own videos on your personal channel about the newer project, but it seems like you have a great blend of flexibility and planning. So you do something for a reason. You know, as you talked about each of those jobs, internships, all of this, there's a clear purpose for you doing it. And then you realize a little bit more about what you like, what you don't like. And the next thing that you go to incorporates what you know. And after this huge succession of kind of just grinding, right? You've gotten to a place where you have a really clear sense of what you're great at, what you're not, what you want to do, what you don't want to do. And it seems like you've put that into the current projects, right?
Yeah, well, I'm just a big believer in that you never know what you want until you know what you don't. So like, you need to experience everything to figure out what works, what doesn't, what makes you feel good, what makes you feel bad, what like excites you and what doesn't excite you. So I always try to do everything just to see what it's like. Because you never know. Like, I didn't think that I'd be making YouTube videos, especially being on camera making YouTube videos. That was never my intention. But it just fell into that because it felt right. So
what do you really like about what you do now that you did not expect at all? You never saw this coming.
Michael and Kevin are the things that I like the most. And you, Tabor.
Thank you.
Are the things that I like the most. No, I think what I like is that I get to create whatever I want is what really excites me. And I have the resources, albeit, you know, not infinite, to do that. And that's very exciting to me, because one thing that I always love is making something with nothing. I think is like the best thing that you can do. You know, like there used to be a time before we had Eric here full time being camera operator and stuff, where if I want to do a camera move, well, I just like jerry rig some rubber bands and string to the tripod so I could do like a whip pan, and I'd use the rubber bands to help absorb, you know, some of the force from that. So it like would actually be smooth and would stop on me. But like, oh, cool. Like that little move makes it feel like there's more production value. It's like little tricks like that I think are really important. Or maybe I have a light. Great. We were using like these really nice lights because we're at the YouTube space. I would have the dimmer next to my foot so I could like push my foot to dim the light and then bring it back up. So like the episode would start with the light coming on me. And it's like, oh, cool. I just did that by having it attached to my foot, like gaffer tape it to my foot so I can actually do that stuff. So that's always fun to me.
You're kind of like Dick Van Dyke in Mary Poppins, where he has like the drum and like a horn, and he's got like all of these things. What does he have? Castanets and like cymbals attached to him. And you're just walking around the park, basically singing a song for imaginary cartoon friends.
In the least believable Cockney accent ever recorded.
Before you and your friends cleaning some chimneys.
Hey man, cleaning chimneys was good money back in the day. Really bad for your lungs, but you got to make a dime.
Right. Well, yeah, you make a dime until you die of lung cancer at 27.
I think it was making a sixpence.
A sixpence? Yeah.
Making a farthing.
So, yeah, I don't know. What else? What else you got? What are we talking about? Where am I?
We're talking about Could You Survive the Movies, because that's really what the journey of all of this has lately, you know, culminated in, is you making this tremendously beautiful show on YouTube that I don't think anybody ever would have thought was possible.
There's really
just a couple
like
years ago, even.
Yeah, there's nothing that I've seen. And sorry to jump in when I guess the creator of this show could weigh in if we let him. But no, see, you know, sometimes you see something and you're like, oh, like this is a genre that's developing. Like this is going in the right direction. Something really cool is going to pop here. I didn't really see anything like that before Jake's show hit. And when that came out, which everybody needs to see this, it's incredible in terms of, you know, the cinematic quality, just this is amazing. Nobody did anything like this. This is completely brand new.
Oh, well, thank you very much. That's very nice of you. If there was a video component, you'd see that I'm smiling now. But the viewer at home, just imagine me smiling. It's as terrifying as what's in your head.
We can hear it. We can hear your cheek muscles.
They're so strong. Yeah, I mean, that was, to me, a long time coming. Like, I've always wanted to, and this is a fear that I have, and I don't know if you guys feel this way in your creative endeavors, but I don't think I'll ever be satisfied with anything that I ever do. So for me, it's always, whatever I make, the thing I make after it needs to be better in some regard. Better doesn't necessarily mean, oh, it's bigger, it has more money behind it. It just needs to be better. What that means, I don't know. It's like a feeling that I have when I make content. Which is one of the reasons why I take so long to make stuff, because it really needs to be something I'm excited about and something that's different to me. And that's, I always think about, like, why do I make science movies is what I consider them in my head, and I think it's that it's just the topic, but the genre, I can make anything. So it can be like an action movie, or it can be a horror film. It can be a romantic comedy if I want it to be, as long as the through line is information and education. And that to me is exciting because it never gets boring. Even though I'm always making science movies, the way that they feel, the way that they look is different. And that's kind of what I love. So when it came to Could You Survive the Movies, it really was, I wanted to make, to your point, Matt, I wanted to make something that was different, that didn't exist yet. Because when I would talk to production companies about making a TV show, they'd always be like, oh, cool. So like, we imagine it like Mythbusters, but more science. Or we imagine it like Survivor Man, but you survive using science. It's like, okay, you're just naming other shows that already exist. Let's create a show that doesn't exist. So then when other people try and make shows, they're like, let's make it like Could You Survive the Movies? That's what I want to do. I want to make things that don't exist yet, or at least adjust it enough where it feels new and exciting.
So can you give like a tagline for Vsauce 3 and a tagline for Can You Survive the Movies, and then connect the two? Like how did one get to the other?
A tagline, I don't know how
like
succinct I can make it. I mean, I think Vsauce 3 has always been, the more comfortable I got with running this channel, the more comfortable I got just making it what I wanted to make it. And it's always been, I want to explain fictional things cinematically. I want it to feel like you're on an adventure, that you're, that's why on all of our channels, we talk directly to the camera as if it's a human being, because it is. So for me, it was very important to bridge that with Could You Survive the Movies, where like you, the viewer, are there with me. We're going on an adventure. We're on a journey together. And by the end of it, hopefully we'll learn something. But if anything, I just want you to be excited and have fun. And that's just really important to me. Because like one thing because I've always loved movies. And I always remember when I was a little kid watching horror films were my favorite, because they would make you feel scared. They could make you feel excited. They could make you feel happy. They could make you feel sad. And you feel all these emotions in such a short amount of time, in like an hour and a half. And I love the fact that some person was able to control my emotions to such a degree, because you're not just like walking down the street crying, but in a movie theater,
maybe you aren't, but I mean,
like, the first 10 minutes of Up, you're crying by the first 10 minutes. Like that's the kind of effect that films can have on you. And I love that emotional kind of, it's like a manipulation, but it's done in a very interesting and curious way. And I wanted to be able to give that to people in my own way. If I do that, I don't know, but I think it's important to create an experience for the viewer.